Are the Sun Devils ready to take down their first SEC team? We're going to talk about it.
You are Locked On Sun Devils, your daily podcast on the Arizona State Sun Devils.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Richie Bradshaw, and I will be your guide for everything Arizona State Sun Devils. A special shout out to my everydayers who are here every day, and thanks for making us your first listen of the day. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications wherever you're getting your shows. Stay in touch by following me on Twitter at RichieBrads36, the podcast at LO_Sun Devils, and do me a solid, if you haven't hit subscribe on YouTube yet, do me that favor. Hit that subscribe button. We are shooting for 1,000 followers, and I have a feeling we can get it before the end of the month. And of course, once we get to that milestone, we're going to find a way to celebrate together as a channel. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into the Locked On Sun Devils podcast. And today, we're going to have some fun. We are game day previewing the ASU versus Mississippi State game down in Mountain America Stadium in Tempe. This is a big one. This is one that we've been really excited about. On yesterday's show, if you have not checked that out, go ahead and check it out. I talked about how this is a benchmark game for Kenny Dillingham. You're in year 2 of this program. You have seen a drastic improvement from last year's season to this year's season. ASU looked phenomenal against Wyoming, a team that won 9 games a year ago. They're not a bad program. You just absolutely obliterated them. You ran all over them. You had big plays in the passing game. You dialed up a pass rush. You generated 3 turnovers, took 2 of them back to the house. You didn't give up a touchdown until under 30 seconds left when Wyoming was desperate to not get shut out. This is a good team, but this is a great challenge that's upcoming for you. Mississippi State is another team. They're coming off a really bad year. They are rebounding this year. They are doing everything they can to use a talented and retooled roster. They have Blake Shapen at quarterback. He is a problem, and we're going to talk about him more later on. But where we're going to start is we're going to talk about the offense and the defense. We're going to talk about some matchups, what I am looking for from ASU's offense and ASU's defense. Starting with the offense, very obviously you're going to be watching Sam Leavitt, not just because it is his second career start for the Sun Devils, but because this is high-level competition. This is SEC competition. The bias has always been there for the SEC. However, it is very warranted when they are able to come out on a year-to-year basis and dominate their competition. Mississippi State is no different. They had a bad year last year. They were not coached well. They fired the guy, not even giving him a full season. They are a much different team this year. From top to bottom, from coaching to the transfer portal, that they were able to add some guys. This is a different, more improved team. This is a more disciplined team. They showed in week 1 that they can be pretty good on defense. They were able to dial up 3 sacks. They had a pick 6 in the game. They held Eastern Kentucky under 300 yards. They were only 8 of 20 on third down efficiency. So not a bad start. Not an ASU start, but not a bad start. ASU is going to have their hands full. Last week, Sam Leavitt looked like a freshman who was playing his 5th career game. There was, I wouldn't say he looked to run, but it definitely felt like that was his first option when the pocket collapsed instead of trying to scan down the field. And that's okay because he can take advantage as a runner, and he's young and he's a good football player. You want to see him develop as a passer, but that'll come with time. He's got the talent. He's got the arm strength. We saw some touch passing from him, and he was able to take advantage across the middle of the field. So a quality performance from Sam Leavitt. But now he's going up against an SEC level defense. This is going to be tough. And it's also going to be tough in the sense that Mississippi State's offense showed a lot last week. They scored 49 points on offense. They had Blake Shapen absolutely kill it as a first-year starting quarterback for the Bulldogs. He scored 4 touchdowns, 3 through the air, 1 on the ground. He can do it all. He's a more veteran version of Sam Leavitt. And you've got a lot on your plate if you're Sam Leavitt to find a way to step up and keep pace with Shapen. So how's he going to go stride for stride, and how is he going to step up against an SEC defense? You also were going to be paying attention to this run game. ASU ran rampant last week against Wyoming. They ran for 241 yards, and if you take away the 2 sacks for 14 yards of a loss that they gave to Leavitt, that's 255 yards, over 5 yards per carry. They scored 2 touchdowns as well. ASU's run game, phenomenal. We came into the year understanding that ASU had a dynamic running game. They have one of the deepest running back rooms in the country. I'll go that far, in the country. Certainly within the conference. You are adding Raleek Brown. He's back in practice. I don't know if he's going to be good for the game, but he's going to be back sooner rather than later. I would expect him to be back no later than next week, but there's a chance he's available for this game. Even if he's not, Cam Scattaboo, absolute beast, potential all-conference player. DeCarlos Brooks, a monster who we're going to talk about in detail later on in the show. Kyson Brown, another stud who is fast, and he is someone who's going to run you over. Alden McCaskill, we didn't see a super explosive game out of him last week, but he's someone that ASU really likes. Jason Brown, their true freshman and a 4-star coming in. Looks pretty darn good with the opportunities he got. You have an offensive line that's improved. You've got a head coach, or not a head coach, an offensive coordinator in Marcus Arroyo, who likes to pass the ball underneath and open up the run game because of the quick passing. It's a great opportunity for ASU to continue running the football this year. Are they going to do it again? Now, I don't know if you're going to run for 200 yards in this game. For what it's worth, last week, Eastern Kentucky was able to pile up 126 rushing yards. They also were able to capture right around 4 yards per carry, maybe about 3.5 actually. But granted, their quarterback had negative 20 yards on 3 sacks. Like that happens. This ASU running game, as long as they stay leaning on it, and I am of the opinion that ASU needs to be run heavy this year, you should be able to take care of Mississippi State. The more I think about this game, I'm going to tell you my score prediction by the end of the show is going to change. Spoiler alert. Defensively, ASU has their hands full with Blake Shapen. Is your pass rush going to be able to get home? They generated 3 sacks last week. Quality production. I thought they should have had more. There was pressure. They obviously dominated the line of scrimmage. Can you deliver at least 3 sacks in this game? Can you possibly get some more? Is your pressure going to be able to throw Shapen off of his rhythm and potentially create some turnovers like they were able to last week against Wyoming? There were coverage sacks. There were turnovers that were caused by a great pass rush. Let's see if they are going to be able to do it again this week against a great offense. I have a specific question that I'm really interested in, and I would love to hear your guys' opinions in the comments as well. Which position group plays better on defense? Linebacker or safety? Linebacker took week 1, not even close. 2 turnovers, one from Cyrus Fiaseu, interception that he returned for 6. The other by Keyshawn Elliott, that was another phenomenal interception that he was able to return for chunky yards. They were also big in dominating the line of scrimmage and holding Wyoming to the terrible rushing day that they had. Safety should not be slept on. Last week, and I talked about this earlier in the week, Shamari Simmons was terrific. The explosiveness that he had being placed in the nickel was terrific. He's quick. He's able to get outside and slow down the running game. You can't bounce it outside or Simmons is going to tackle you. So it's forcing the running backs to have to cut in, and then the linebackers are waiting there. So sure, the linebackers get the numbers, but Shamari Simmons is a big reason that they were able to get that. Ghost Rouser. This guy, he might be Timothy Turner. He hits like a mother trucker, man. And there's a great possibility that he does it for the whole season. There's a great possibility he could be your best safety this year. I would go that far. I'm ready to see if he can start generating turnovers, which are going to inevitably come for him. Absolutely. In the meantime, he is a tone setter. Xavier Alford, he was another guy that was super reliable last week. Good tackler, someone that he's just reliable. Like I said, he's reliable. He's dependable. He's someone that can play every down, and you feel incredibly confident that he can be able to take care of his side of the field. Just between those three, they stack up very well against Keyshawn Elliott and Cyrus Fiaseu. Who else is going to step up at linebacker? Who else is going to step up at safety? That's a battle I'm paying attention to. And I think it's going to be really intense this week because Mississippi State is going to try to throw the football, but because they have a running quarterback as well. So who's going to be able to contain Shapen trying to get outside the best? That's what I'm really interested in. And again, I think it's a fun battle, and I think you win either way. Both of these groups are incredibly talented. I expect them to have great games. We're going to go ahead and talk about some players to watch specifically. Spoiler alert, Sam Leavitt does not count. He's the quarterback. We're not going to highlight Sam Leavitt. We got two guys on offense, two guys on defense to talk about that we'll be paying close attention to in this game. We're hopping into that right now. This is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you need to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. They help you hire professionals that you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but may be open to a perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users will not visit another leading job site. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses will get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. LinkedIn also knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and may not have the time or resources to hire. That's why they're constantly finding new ways to make the process easier. They even launched a feature that helps write job descriptions and makes that process easier and quicker than before. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Also want to shout out our friends over at Home Field. Guys, this is such an exciting sponsorship that we have. And if you're looking for incredibly vintage, incredibly high quality materials, whether it's shirts or coaches jackets or hats, Home Field Apparel has them. The season is here. We've got the Can't Miss Kickoff campaign. Get geared up for the season. They have premium collegiate apparel. It's based out of Indianapolis. They are making stuff that's incredibly comfortable. They're officially licensed apparel too. So it's vintage college designs from more than 180 schools and counting for you to choose from. So even if you're tuning in and not an Arizona State fan, they probably have your school, so go and check it out. The products are made by college football fans for the college football fans. Check out that Can't Miss Kickoff 2024 campaign featuring items like football boxes, coaches' jackets, bomber jackets, and more. Their football boxes will contain 3 never-before-seen items for your school that aren't available anywhere else. Curated, so fans have new gear to wear all season long and suitable for all weather conditions. Now's the best time to get in on Home Field Apparel. You can use my special promo code ASU24 and get 15% off your first purchase. Go to homefieldapparel.com and take advantage of all the great merchandise for Arizona State and other schools as well. Be prepared like nobody else with Home Field Apparel. Use my promo code ASU24 for 15% off of your order. Wherever you're getting your shows, I appreciate you for tuning in and making us your first listen of the day. A special shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. Make sure you check out Home Field Apparel. Get yourself the best quality stuff, hats, jackets, shirts, everything. And use my special promo code ASU24 to get 15% off that order. Cannot recommend it enough. Back into our conversation, we're going to take a look at players to watch this weekend. Sam Leavitt does not count. He is the quarterback. He is second game in his season. Oh my goodness. Second year in his career with Arizona State. Obviously, you're going to watch him. So it's not fun to talk about him anymore. He's the guy as far as I'm concerned. Let's go ahead and take a look at 2 players on offense, 2 players on defense. We're going to start with Jordan Tyson. Tyson had the most receptions last week, 4 catches for 49 yards. We are big fans of him on the Locked On Sun Devils podcast. There is nothing but potential for this kid. He's fast, he's big, he's explosive. When the ball is in his hands, you feel like anything can happen. Last week, they tried to get the ball in his hands quite a bit, and he made some plays. Are they going to do the same this week? Earlier in the week, I talked about how I would like to see Sam Leavitt begin creating chemistry with a number 1 receiver, and that could be Jordan Tyson. It could be Jake Smith. It could be Melcon Stovall. But I am really intrigued by Jordan Tyson the most. And there's absolutely some bias because we've talked about him several times on the Locked On Sun Devils podcast. But nonetheless, this is a remarkably talented football player and someone that I anticipate is going to have a big season this year. He's off to a quality start. Is Mississippi State one of the games where he can really get himself going? Second player on offense, DeCarlos Brooks. Brooks looked like your best running back last week. He looked like your best running back last week. 6 carries, 47 yards, 7.8 yards per carry. These are chunk plays, by the way. His longest was only 15 yards. So it's not like he ripped off a 30-yard run and then had 17 yards on his other 4 or 5 carries. No. Chunk play. Every time DeCarlos Brooks got the football, you felt like you were going to get 8, 7, 9 yards and go from 1st and 10 to 2nd and very short and open up some deep passing opportunities for you. He also scored a touchdown. I believe it was the first touchdown of the game for the Sun Devils. He's going to get in the end zone a lot. He only had 3 last year. It all came against Washington State. He also only played 4 games last year. As long as he remains healthy, he's going to score touchdowns this year. And there's potential for him to lead the Sun Devils in rushing touchdowns, especially after what we saw in week 1. The limited carries he got, he made the most of. With that happening, now I feel you need to give him more opportunities. Going into this week, ASU ran the ball 49 times. They had a billion different players touch the football, including all 5 running backs. Well, DeCarlos Brooks is still running back 2 on this team behind Scadaboo, who I still anticipate is going to have a big role in this team. but Brooks is going to make a case to steal some of those carries, to sap some of the opportunities because he's so efficient, because he's just a downhill runner. He brings a different element to the game, one that I love. I love power football. I love it. Just run the ball at will and break the defense. It's the best. So there's a little bias there as well. But the point being, the efficiency and the explosiveness that he has to run dudes over has me the most excited. And I'm going to be paying very close attention to him this upcoming week. Flipping to the defensive side of the football, first of all, it's Clayton Smith as the guy to watch. Great start for him last week, was able to get in the backfield for his first sack of the year. Last season, he had 4.5. 3 of them came in the last month of the year when he was finally healthy because he was banged up for most of last season. He is 100% healthy. He has added weight. He is playing a lot closer to 230, whereas last year he was closer to, I got it backwards. He's playing a lot closer to 250, whereas last year he was playing closer to 230, and it shows. He's already, or not already, my goodness, I am just all over the place on this podcast today. I'm very excited if you can't tell. He is already showing off the speed this season that we know that he has. Now he's combining power. He's going to be able to convert that speed to power and turn his pass rushing skills to the next level. Week 2, another good opportunity. SEC team, it's a reworked offensive line. They only gave up a single sack last week to Eastern Kentucky. You also have Blake Shapen, who is a tool threat and should be able to break out of the pocket on more than one occasion. So Clayton Smith is going to need to set the edge in this game. He's arguably the most important player in the front 7 this upcoming week. You need your defensive tackles to step up, and you're looking for your linebackers to have another strong week. But Clayton Smith is going to be relied upon to hold the edge against a run, force everything inside, and he's also going to be asked to be the dude who brings down Shapen in this game. Big opportunity here for Clayton Smith to continue making a name for himself. Last player on defense I am paying attention to is Javen Robinson. Robinson was listed as your number 1 corner on the depth chart. He had plenty of opportunities last week. He looked more than solid. And keep in mind, ASU was rotating a lot of guys in last week because they had that opportunity to do so. Javen did not even get in the box score last week. No tackles, no pass deflections, nothing. But he still had a really strong game because the coverage ability was there. He did his job. He's going to need to do it again this week. And if he is relied upon once again as the number 1 corner, he's got his work cut out for him. Jordan Mosley last week recorded 5 receptions for 104 yards and a touchdown. That included a 65-yard long. Kevin Coleman, another receiver for them, 5 catches, 88 yards and a touchdown, including a 25-yard long. Mario Craver had a lone reception, but he turned it into a 55-yard score. They've got speed in this receiving core. How does Javen match up with these guys? How is he going to help limit a veteran quarterback who is going to spin it in this game? It's a remarkably tough and very interesting matchup this week. Javen Robinson as your number 1 corner going against a veteran quarterback and going against a really more than quality receiving core. This isn't going to be an easy game for the secondary. I'm paying the closest attention here to Javen Robinson. Those are the guys I'm paying attention to this week. 2 guys on offense, Jordan Tyson to Carlos Brooks. 2 guys on defense, Clayton Smith and Javen Robinson. Obviously, we'll be watching Sam Leavitt as well. Let's go ahead and make some bold predictions and a final score in just a moment. This is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks, and it's going to make getting tickets for your favorite live events, like the Sun Devils, even easier than before. Game Time Picks will filter out the fluff and show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Game Time Picks is a curation that makes it easy to save more on sports, comedy, theater, concerts, and other events near you. There's an all-in pricing tool. You're going to toggle this. It's going to show you the total upfront. There are no surprise fees at checkout now. You can get a panoramic view of your seat in the app before you buy, so you know what to expect when you arrive. Their lowest price guarantee is going to credit you 110% of the difference if you find tickets in the same section and row for less. And of course, your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, Locked On College, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. One more time, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, making us your first listen of the day. A special shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. If you have not hit subscribe on YouTube yet, do me that solid. Hit that subscribe button. Help us get to 1,000 subscribers. We can get it by the end of the month, which is absolutely insane. Y'all are the MVPs. Another thing, if you need new apparel for ASU or any other school, Mississippi State fans, you might be tuning in. I'm pretty sure Home Field has Mississippi State gear. Go to Home Field, take advantage, use the promo code ASU24, get 15% off your order. Let's round out this show with some bold predictions. 2 on offense, 2 on defense, and then a final score for this game that I slightly changed, which we'll get to. Starting on the offense, bold prediction number 1, Sam Leavitt is going to get 2 more touchdowns in this game. If I had to make a prediction, I'll say it's 1 passing and 1 rushing touchdown for him. The passing touchdown, I don't know. Let's say Jake Smith, just for fun. We'll say Jake Smith gets into the end zone in this game. But Sam Leavitt is going to have a quality game again. I anticipate he's going to run a little bit once again. And when the pocket breaks down, I anticipate that you're going to see Leavitt break the pocket, which is fine as long as he is smart and is able to get down. Just don't take those big hits and we'll be okay. I would also like to see you continue to build that pocket presence, but we'll cross that road when we get to it. In the meantime, just do what you need to do. Second bold prediction, I'm saying ASU has another big week. I'm saying 150 rushing yards in this game. I'm going to say close to 5 yards per carry, and I'm going to say that the Carlos Brooks leads the team in rushing yards this week. I'm big on Brooks in this game. He looked so good last week. He was your 3rd leading rusher, keep in mind, or he was tied for 2nd with Leavitt. And obviously Leavitt did have negative 14 from the, from the sack yardage. So if you gave him the sack yardage, he finished 3rd last week. The difference, Scadaboo had 11 carries. Leavitt, if you take away the sack, had 6 carries. DeCarlos had 6 carries. Beyond efficient. Beyond efficient. You give him double-digit carries this week, I wouldn't blink an eye if he ran for 60, 70 yards. And for a team that loves to run the football and loves to spread out their options, he could easily lead this team in rushing. And I think that's what's going to happen in this game. Bold prediction number 1 for the defense. Clayton Smith's going to go off. I got him for 2 sacks in this game. And I'm going to say the defense gets 1 more. So I got 3 sacks for the Sun Devils in this game against Mississippi State. I think they're going to do a really good job getting after Blake Shapen, making him uncomfortable. With that in mind, I do think that Shapen has a okay day as a runner, which leads me into our final bold prediction here on defense. Mississippi State will have under 150 rushing yards in this game. Last week, they ran for over 200. That's a nice drop off to take away 25% of what they did. And I also think that a chunk of it's going to come from Blake Shapen being able to get out of the pocket and do what he needs to do. Last week, he led the team 7 carries, 44 yards. He did have a sack in that game. After that, you had Creed Whittemore, who had a single carry for 41 yards. He's also a receiver. I'm not sure if it's Kavion or just Kayvon Lee. Their running back had 9 carries for 40 yards. He was your leading rusher at running back. Davin Booth, had 8 carries for 39 yards. They like to spread it out, but these guys just weren't as efficient as ASU was. Now they're going up against a defense that crushed a really good Wyoming rushing attack. And I mean crushed them. That was one of the most impressive performances I have ever seen from a defense against a run. Not even just ASU. It was just suffocating. The defensive interior, CJ Fight, Jacob Rich Kungaika, Jeff Clark, Zach Swanson, ate up the middle of the defense. Then you have the edge rushers who played well. Elijah O'Neal, Clayton Smith, obviously. Justin Wadley had a quality game. ASU's got the depth on the defensive line. Now you've got linebackers who fly to the football with Cyrus Fiaseu and Keyshawn Elliott. It is the perfect combination in the front 7 by itself to snuff out the run. Then you've got guys in the secondary with Shamari Simmons, who I already complimented as a great run defender in week 1. Xavion Alford's going to get up there. Miles Rouser's going to lay the boom. Ghost is going to get some big hits in this game. I'll also throw in that bold prediction. I'll say 2 hit sticks, but that's kind of subjective what you consider a hit stick. I'm just going to say he gets 2 big hits in this game. But those are my 4 bold predictions. The 2 on offense, Sam Leavitt, 2 more touchdowns. I'll say one passing, 1 rushing. I'll say that passing goes to Jake Smith. Second bold prediction on offense, ASU's going over 150 rushing yards. DeCarlos Brooks is leading the team in rushing yards. 2 bold predictions on defense. Number 1, Clayton Smith is getting 2 sacks. The defense gets 1 more for 3 total. And the second is the defense is going to hold Mississippi State under 150 rushing yards. And I forgot to mention this, they're going to be under 4 yards a carry too. They are going to be under 4 yards a carry in this game. My final score, initially it was ASU 34-27. I am knocking off 3 points from Mississippi State. I'm going to say ASU wins by 10. I got ASU 34-24, starting the year 2-0 for the first time since 2021. ASU is going to look good in this game. I think it's going to be a slugfest. The difference in this game is the defenses. Mississippi State doesn't have a bad defense. They are more than quality, but they were not nearly as impressive against an FCS school as ASU was against an FBS school. ASU is going to do a much better job in this game, in my humble opinion, defensively. And that's going to be the difference in this game. ASU 34, Mississippi State 24. What's your score prediction? Score prediction. What's your bold predictions? And how do you feel about what I've got to say? Let me know in the comments. You can hit me up on Twitter as well at Richie Brads36, the podcast at LO_Sun Devils. Wherever you're getting your shows, though, hit like, hit subscribe, turn on notifications so you get that update when new content is up. I appreciate you for tuning in, making us your first listen of the day, and a special shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. That's all we got for this week, unless we got some breaking news that we'll be sure to cover if that comes up. Otherwise, we will be back on Monday to talk ASU versus Mississippi State. We'll talk about the good that happened in the game, the bad that happened in the game, the takeaways for offense and defense, and hopefully, if they get the win, we'll hand out some game balls. I'll see you guys on Monday, but until then, you keep it locked right here on Locked On Sun Devils.